Hi, this is Sumi. We are here at the Portland PNKCA convention that's going on. It's June 3rd today, and I have here with me Spike Cover. He was one of the guest speakers that we had. We had a wet lab today, and he was covering some of the presentations that were introduced. Hello, Spike, and welcome to
Hi,
TV.
Sumi. Thank you.
Thank you. How are you doing?
As far as I know, I'm doing good.
Good, good. I've been reading some of the articles about you and everything. And can you give us a little rough background about you, what you've been doing?
KOI, Koi Organization International.
Oh, okay.
And which not coincidentally has a cool acronym for the name, KOI.
Yes.
And we've been working for a couple of years. We worked for a year trying to get ready, and then we brought out the website about a year ago. And we've been working on the website for about a year, and we're starting, when we get that the way we'd like it, then we'll get out and really advertise the organization and try to get more people to come and take advantage of our services.
Okay, what is exactly Koi providing? Is it a club? Is it a publication? What is it?
Sure. It's really a group of people who have an interface with the world through the web, through the net.
Okay.
And because we're international, we can't really have meetings. It's not practical. So we have a website, and what is a teaching learning organization.
Okay.
And all the people involved like to learn, and we like to share our knowledge with other people, so we're a teaching organization in that regard.
Okay, so from basic to expertise, you guys have a board of that?
We try to work all levels of Koi. We know there are a lot of newcomers. We try to provide a lot of information for newcomers, because that's the time when you have typically the most problems in the hobby, because you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
You like the pretty fish, and you get a pond and you go out and throw pellets in, and all of a sudden you're having sick fish, and that's no fun. And so we try to help the people through their problems, and we try to help them preclude those problems by doing it right the first time.
Okay. Is Koi mainly in one area, or is it, do you guys have branches all over? How is that?
Well, our main, as I mentioned, our main interface with the world is through the website. So there are really no branches. But we have, and our focus really is on Koi health. Okay. We don't get into the Koi appreciation much. We've thought about doing that, the judging and what actually makes a beautiful Koi and that sort of thing. But right now we're focused mainly on the health aspects of Koi.
Okay, and you are the founder of Koi?
No, I'm not. I was one of the original people. And when I left AKCA, I decided I was going to just take a break for a while. And then the people who actually started Koi decided they liked doing what they were doing, but they'd kind of lost their forum, so they decided to put together something where they could keep doing that. And after a lot of conversation and a lot of soul searching and looking at alternatives, they decided that doing a website was the best way to go.
Okay. How did you come into this?
I knew Karen, and she kept asking me if I'd consult or get involved in the organization, and I really liked doing this, so it was kind of like a moth to a flame. When she said, "Do you want to do this?" I said, "Sure, I do." So anyway, so I got involved, and it's been fun. I like doing this. I like fish people. I like to learn. I like to share my knowledge, and so it all works out.
Yeah. We've been in this hobby for a few years now, not as long as you guys, but a few years. And one of the things that we noticed was not many newcomers are coming into this hobby. What do you think about? What do you?
The reason I think they're not is because it's an expensive hobby.
Yes.
And particularly young people are interested in trying to start their family, raise a family. They have all kinds of expenses, and taking on an expensive hobby is not usually something they want to do.
Right. And this hobby is not just in the U.S. It's more all over.
Right.
Japan, and Japan is the origin, but Sweden and Netherlands and
Sure. South Africa.
South Africa, Malaysia.
Sure.
And have you traveled many places?
I've traveled to Europe. I've never been to Japan. I've never been to South Africa. I've never been to Malaysia. But I know there are a lot of people in those countries that are involved in this. Mm-hmm. And that's why we've tried to make the organization international. One of our instructors comes from England, and another one comes from South Africa.
Okay.
So,
is your board of expertise in different areas? Are they one a vet or one judge?
They're all koi hobbyists of many years, and I think they have a lot of experience. The people a little bit tend to specialize. Chris Neves, who's in South Africa, is a specialist on koi nutrition. Mm-hmm. Duncan Griffith in England is a specialist on treating koi that have problems. So he's a kind of an amateur fish fixer. But he's an excellent amateur fish fixer.
Yeah, you gotta have some sort of board, mixed board, so that you can answer all kinds of questions. And that, yes, that's good. And what's the best way to convey your message about koi?
Well, the way we do it is we have courses, and we have e-books, and we have free articles and that sort of thing. And on our website, we have a lot of free things. Mm-hmm. We intentionally put together a basic kind of a primer, however you want to say it, on koi, which covers all the basics of koi. And we put that up as a free download for anybody who wants to use it. And I think it comes in 5 different forms. So you can watch it, listen to it, do it, all of the above, that sort of thing. But it covers all the things about a koi, how to buy them, how to prepare the pond, how, filtration, nutrition, all these kinds of things. It has all the basics in it, and it's for free. Okay. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to get more people successful in the hobby and more people who want to really learn more and become more advanced. And then we offer advanced courses for those people.
Okay. And I'm just rewinding a little bit. How did you come into this hobby, though?
I've been a fish geek all my life. And when I was young, I had goldfish in a wash tub, and then I graduated to guppies in a fruit jar, and then I actually had a bluegill in a 55-gallon barrel for a while. And then I got into aquariums, and I was into aquariums when I was a teenager and then early adulthood. And then I discovered koi, and when you're in aquariums, you always want a bigger aquarium, and a 100-gallon aquarium is nirvana, and that's wonderful. But I discovered that koi keepers actually have thousands of gallons, and I thought, boy, this is for me. I've just been a lifelong fish geek.
Yeah, is your whole family into this?
No. No, they think I'm nuts at times. My wife's a bird watcher, and she's was a teacher during her career. She's retired now, but she's enjoys watching birds, and she's into watercolor art and that sort of thing. Everybody kind of does their own thing.
Yeah.
And we all learn from each other kind of by osmosis. I've learned the names of a lot of those little funny brown birds that hop around your yard and you never knew what they were before. Yeah, so
well,
anyway.
If you have a mix of everything going on in one household, that's a great thing.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yes. And when you were fond of this koi, how did you, was there a lot of books to refer through, or was there a lot of expertise to talk to?
No. What happened was I built a koi pond, and I fortunately got some advice from some old timers that kept me from making some really serious mistakes in my first koi pond. And then I had got the koi, and not too long after that, I had some sick fish. And I thought, well, this is no fun. So I looked around for people, for some information on how I might make my fish better, and I found out it was hard to come by. And so I started looking more, and I just kind of became self-taught in koi health. And the information can be found, but it's hard to dig out. A lot of it comes from not the koi specialty world, but just people who are fish health people, who are fish health in general. Some even books that were written originally, like in German. There's a classic volume by Schopper Klaus, and it's 2 volumes, and it's a mammoth work. But the good news is that in Europe, where this guy worked, they use a lot of koi, or a lot of carp for food fish. So koi health or carp health in Europe is a big deal because they're a food fish.
Oh.
And so you want to keep them healthy, or you can't sell them.
Right, yeah.
So anyway, he talked a lot about koi or carp health in the book, and it's all applicable to koi.
Is it in 1985 you started the hobby?
Probably more like 95.
95?
Yeah. So I've been in 15 or 16 years.
Oh, okay. So in 1995 when you started, there wouldn't be much of internet and stuff going on at that time, was there?
There wasn't a lot of internet, I don't think. I knew how to run a computer and that sort of thing, but it wasn't anything like it is today. So I actually bought a lot of books. I have a good library of books, and being kind of old school, I really like books. So anyway.
Yeah. And when you're doing this reference through books and talking to other people, I'm pretty sure you got lots of opinions about koi, right?
Of course.
Yeah. And when they say, wow, this is an expensive fish, or this is, how do you explain to them?
Well, a lot of times I don't, but the expense in koi comes from the whole process in raising the koi from a fry, a baby fish, up to the various levels. And the more work and the more money they put into them, time and effort rather, the more money they have to charge for them. It's just they can't make a living if they don't. And this is the people who make koi, the Japanese mostly.
Are you a professional computer person, or?
No, I'm a professional retired person. I was a mechanical engineer. In a former life, and like I say, I've always been a fish geek as a hobbyist, and so it was kind of natural for me when I had more time to become more fish geeky. So anyway.
You can have, how many fish do you have?
Now I probably have about 30 fish.
30 fish?
Yeah.
Do you enter them for?
No, I don't.
You don't enter them for any shows? No? And do you specifically handpick your kois, or what do you look for it?
Yes, I do handpick my koi. I like to look at my fish, so I pick koi that I like to go out to the pond and look at them and say, boy, am I glad I got that fish.
Okay.
And so I'm in the hobby for my fun, and so that's how I pick my fish. It would be nice if somebody else thought it was a nice fish, but it's more important to have me to think it's a nice fish. When I go out and look in the pond and say, boy, I'm glad I got that fish, to me, that's the way it ought to be.
Yeah, yes, that's totally, if it satisfies you, then that's
right.
all questions answered. So when you or selecting a koi, are you more into a specific type, or what's your favorite? Maybe I should ask that.
Well, I like Shiro Yutsuris, the black and white
Yes.
fish, but I also like the Gosanki, the Kohaku, Sanki, Showa, and every fish ought to have or every pond ought to have a yellowfish in it,
Yes,
a Yamabuki,
Yamabukis.
because even though Yamabukis are relatively common and relatively inexpensive, I'm sure you know
Yes.
that if you have a yellowfish in your pond and somebody comes over and looks at your pond for the first time, they go, "Wow, look at that yellowfish."
Yes, my kids call it
Yeah.
Sunny.
Yeah.
A yellowfish.
Sure.
And, they're little, but they named it Sunny.
Yeah,
So
of course.
each time the kids come out, Sunny, I fed Sunny. It's nice to,
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. I haven't gotten a large variety of fish. I haven't gotten into the oddball varieties and things like that, mainly because I think the popular varieties are popular for a reason. They probably look best.
Yes.
And, the other oddball varieties are for people who have more space than I do. So I just keep what I like.
Yeah, yeah. And are you judging? Are you a judge now?
No, I'm not.
You're not practicing your judgment?
No, I've never been a judge.
You've been, never been.
No.
I've read, are you writing articles for pond trade and that kind of magazines or something?
I have written a lot of articles for magazines and newsletters and, that sort of thing. Now I'm writing for KOI.
KOI.
Yeah.
There's lots of diseases going on for koi, right?
Well, we always seem to have a lot of diseases, but when people understand the diseases, the real advantage to learning is to learn about the diseases and what their characteristics are. And the first thing you want to do is avoid them. And then if you're unlucky enough to get them, you want to know how to treat them.
Yes.
So avoidance is really the key to this whole thing. It's like for you and me. We want to stay healthy. We don't want to treat ourselves after we get sick.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're treating a koi, maybe I should say, what kind of medications do you, first aid kit do you keep for koi?
Well, I keep medications to treat parasites, and then I keep medications to treat wounds or ulcers, and that's mainly what I keep. These aren't medications, but I also keep chemicals to treat the water, because the water that comes out of the tap, it's great for drinking, but it's hard on koi because it has the chlorine and chloramines in it, so you need to take that out. But mainly for fish health, I keep parasite medicine and ulcer medicine.
What do you think is the number one cause of having koi diseases?
Bad water.
Bad water is number one.
Everybody will tell you that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you help us spread the word of how to treat, what's your opinion in treating water quality? How do you do it?
That's a really involved question. You kind of learn your own system. The two things I preach are keep your system clean and change a lot of water. Those two things alone will help you probably do the two best things you can do to keep good water. Again, keep it clean. It means keep your pond clean, keep your filters clean. Just, be almost fanatical about it if you can manage it. And then change water.
Change water.
Yeah. Changing water is like flushing the toilet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then I shouldn't ask how often you flush your.
Yeah, sure you can. Yeah, I put about 10% new water in my pond every day. I have an overflow system to where if it rains or there's a hose in it or it's dripping water in or whatever, it goes out a standpipe.
Okay.
So I drip water in, about 10% new water every day. It goes into the pond and then it runs out the standpipe. So that's more than most people do. Most people do like 10% a week or something like that. But I have a relatively small system that's overloaded because I bought the fish when they're little and they got big, and now I have more. So I have twice the filtration that I would normally need, and I change a lot of water to try to compensate for having too many fish in my pond.
We have noticed so many people using salt in their pond. As soon as they see something, they just dump the salt. What do you have? Do you have a suggestion for that? What do you think?
Yeah, I have a suggestion. Don't do it. Salt has definite applications, but just like if you went to your doctor and said, "I'm sick, give me some medication," the doctor really doesn't have one medication for everything.
Right.
He has to know what's wrong with you before he'll give you before properly giving you the medication. So it's the same with fish. If your fish have problems, you need to know what's wrong with them before you start to doctor them. If they have a virus, an antibiotic isn't going to help. If they have parasites, an antibiotic isn't going to help.
Right.
But if they have bacteria, an anti-parasite is probably not going to help. So you need to find out what the problem is with your fish and treat the cause. And salt has applications that used to be really good for parasites. Most parasites have developed a really pretty healthy resistance to salt. It used to be good for trichodina, and now I don't think you could put enough salt in the pond to kill your trichodina. But we have potassium permanganate, and that'll do it. So there's alternatives. But let's see.
It ruins the filter too, right?
Salt is something that can help your fish. Fish are like a leaky boat. They're always taking on freshwater fish. They're always taking on water, and they have to get rid of it. And they get rid of it through their kidneys and then pass it out as dilute urine. But if they have an ulcer or breaks in their skin, then they're like leaky boats with big holes in them. And so that makes it even harder for them to get rid of this excess water.
Yes.
And so when you put salt in the water, it lessens the osmotic gradient, which is the salt inside the fish and the salt outside the fish. When the fish evolved probably about the same time most of the animals did, and they have about 0.9% salt in them, where the water has almost none in it, so the water is trying to pour into the fish. And if you put some salt in the water, it lessens that gradient, so not as much water comes in and the fish don't have to work as hard to get rid of it. And they can spend the energy they've saved repairing the wound or regenerating tissue.
Yes.
You can use salt if you have, like particularly in a quarantine tank, if you have fish with big ulcers in them on them, because it helps this osmotic gradient that we talked about.
Well, usually the ulcers that that's on koi's, what do you think the cause of that is?
It could be abrasions. It could be just a high population of bacteria in the water. It could be just bad water quality. If you raise the level of bacteria, the background bacteria in a pond, you can raise it up and raise it up and raise it up, and pretty soon all your fish will be sick. So there's a threshold at which they can't combat the bacteria anymore. And if you keep it below that, they're relatively well equipped to deal with this because they've evolved that way. They have to deal with bacteria every day, just as you and I do. But if we were to try to live in a pigsty, we'd get sick pretty quick.
Yes. In wintertime, do you take your fish in?
No, I live in Southern California, so we don't have a real winter.
Oh, you're lucky.
Yeah.
We are here in Portland. We have rain, and we are singing the song "Go Away, Rain." So now, for our situation, do you think it's best for us to take the fish in during winter and then let them go back out?
Big fish big healthy fish can stand cold water. And it depends on how cold your water gets. But
Not good for them to hibernate, I bet.
well, they don't actually hibernate. They go into some kind of a torpor like a hummingbird does. But I don't know a lot about cold water raising of koi. But actually, on our website,
Yes, check us out.
we have some information about that was written by a guy who actually knows a lot about this, Richard Carlson, and it's free on the website.
Okay, and the other thing was that when we started this hobby, we got some kois, and first the mistake, we bought too many kois, and second thing was that we had plants in the pond. We didn't know. As soon as we found out, we took the plants out. But I think the plants, when the plants were in the pond, it bruised the kois. So that may happen to others also, and we don't know. When you have a pond, you feel like, okay, putting some plants in it to make it colorful. But as soon as you put some fish in it and the pots and mud and everything, so I don't think that's so safe for the koi, right?
Well, I've seen plants and koi coexist nicely. Koi do like to eat plants, and so that's kind of a problem. But I've seen some nice setups with plants and koi. It's just harder to keep them. And it's harder to keep them clean. You remember we talked about keeping the system clean? Well, if you've got dirt and the plants are dying, the water lilies are always having blooms and leaves and stuff that die, and if you're not good about cleaning that up, that's debris in the pond, and it's getting fouled. The water's getting fouled with the decaying debris. So it's just, it's very similar to aquariums. People who raise aquarium fish typically will have a bare tank, and people who want to show their fish in their home a lot of times will put plants in their tank because it looks nicer. So if you don't want to go to all that work, don't put the plants in, and it's easier. Plants are a lot of work. So. And I have plants in my pond, but they're often aside in a planter pocket. And the only reason I have them in there is because my wife wants frogs over in the side, and she wants plants for the frogs. And it's crazy. So we have a compromise sort of thing.
Okay. I love water lilies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
so
really
does my wife. Yeah.
Well, it might be a girl thing, but we love.
Well, they look good.
Yes.
I like them.
And I wanted to have a few colors in it. The yellow one, the pink one, and white ones and everything. So as soon as we found out, when we were talking to many expertise, they were saying that plants don't do so good with kois, and that might hurt them. And when they kois chew on their leaves, or that might get stuck in them and cause problems. So we took it out. But later on, maybe a year later, we found there's a bruise on one of the kois, but we didn't know how that bruise came, or how that happened. So what we were thinking was like, maybe you can suggest an idea or something how common these bruises take place on kois.
Koi get bruised because they bang into something or something bangs into them. That's about all I can say. It'd be just totally speculation, but I can't imagine that plants would bruise your koi, but who knows?
Oh, okay. And what's the treatment? What do you suggest for a bruised koi?
Put the koi into warm, good water and let him heal himself.
Oh, no medication.
If the skin isn't broken, if the scales are not gone, it just looks like a bruise, like it would on you or me. Just let the fish take care of it itself.
Okay. Is there anything you want to say through Koi TV?
Well, I'd like to invite everyone to come to our website and take advantage of our free information, and maybe we can entice them to take some of our courses that are not free but are relatively inexpensive.
We want to thank you so much for doing this interview with us, and I hope you love this weather that we are having here in Portland. It's sunny day, keeping our fingers crossed. It was raining all week, and finally we just got some sun out here. So,
Well, the reason you have sun is because I was emailing back and forth to Linda, and she told me when you come up here, you need to bring the sun. So I did.
It's when the good people come to town, they bring the sun.
There you go. Us Californians can't stand rain, so we had to shut off the rain while we're here.
Turn the valve down.
Yeah, right.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure having you on Koi TV.
Thanks for inviting me here.
Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this interview, and stay tuned for more. Thank you.